Idaho 4 in the Brian Kohberger prosecution. I was thinking it's time to move on. And just then I get contacted by Tommy Jude of the great channel Once Upon a Crime Time. He starts firing questions at me. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm getting some new perspective. So here we go in this episode, 5 perspectives on the Idaho 4 case. Like I said, Tommy Jude asked me a bunch of questions and got me to thinking about the Idaho 4 case. And what did he ask me? He asked me a bunch of stuff, but let's get right into it. The first thing he asked me was, what about the gag order? This is really obvious. What effect has it had overall on the case? These horrible crimes took place on November 13th of 2022. And for 6 weeks, the media, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, who did I leave out? It's now day 11 and the police still have no suspects. It's now day 13, still no. And it was every night. And, all the true crime channels and everybody, built up this, this curiosity about what is going on, what's happening, Then all of a sudden, Kohberger was arrested, on December 30th of 2022, I think it was. One of the last days of 2022. And immediately, one of the very first days of January, bada bing, bada boom, a gag order. And so this great curiosity and desire to know and real need to get some idea of what's going on, all of a sudden, it was shut down. And I don't know if you ever stood next to the washing machine when the water is running, then the washing machine stops and the hose goes. Well, that's what happened. That's what happened here is the public just, they had this insatiable desire to know what was going on and everything was shut down. And the early press conferences left a lot to be desired. I'll just say that. And so the gag order has had the opposite effect. The effect of the gag order was to give Mr. Kohberger a fair trial, but I think it's had the opposite effect because now everybody in the world is talking about it. These podcasters from Los Angeles to UK, from Alaska to Florida,
all over.
And
YouTubers.
There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. People are inventing stuff. I mean, they invented the thing, and I'll say it about the tunnels. I mean, come on, let's be serious. I mean, people are inventing all this stuff. And so, in my view, the gag order has had the opposite effect because now
it's caused more attention to come to it, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just created a insatiable desire of people to know what's going on. And, that coupled with the fact that this might not have happened 20 or 30 years ago, when all we had was a newspaper. But now we have this medium here. And how many channels are there? A kabillion million? You may have heard barking, and I apologize. That was Lily, the legal beagle. You may have seen her on other episodes barking because maybe she doesn't like the gag order, or maybe she just wanted to go out. So I better make it quick and get into the next video so that I can let her out. By the way, if you're wondering, Lainey Law, we wanted her to participate, and we asked her, but she had previous plans, the smart girl. So what was the next question that Tommy and his viewers had? Well, that survey that defense attorney Ann Taylor had been doing on behalf of Brian Kohberger, she hired an expert actually to make some phone calls to poll the jury pool, the potential jury veneer, about the case to determine whether Mr. Kohberger could get a fair trial in Latah County. And so that was the question. And here was my answer. There were allegations that the survey that the defense attorney was doing was a violation of the gag order. And I think that's an unfair, I have 2 of the gag orders here. I think there were 3, but I have the most recent one. And if you read the language of the gag order, and I have it right here, I don't think that, the gag order really pertains to evidence. And what the company, Mr. Edelman and his company, were doing was they were focusing in on media stories. So those are two different things. The gag order says you can't talk about the evidence and things that are going on in the court. And
Right.
what the survey was looking at has been in the media. And the gag order has a specific exemption. If you look at it, there's a specific exemption, and I can cite it if you want me to, with respect to anything that's public record. So I'm looking now at the second gag order, the one that came out in, oh, wait, hang on. The one that came out and is date stamped June 23rd. It's the revised, amended, non-dissemination order. And it says, 2, attorneys involved in the case and their agents, as outlined in paragraph 1, may make extrajudicial statements, written or oral, concerning the following. And it says right here, number 2, I'm sorry for shuffling my papers, anything that is on public record. That answer wasn't enough for Tommy and his very bright viewers. In fact, they asked a follow-up and they said, okay, there's a distinction here between actual evidence in the case, which has been sealed for a large part, and what's been in the newspapers. But answer this question, they said. What about Ann Taylor's having hired this guy and actually calling some 400 residents of Latah County? Did she violate the gag order? And even though Mr. Thompson went around pointing his fingers at people and reading ethical rules, which I thought was way out of line, the judge did not clamp down. And in fact, he said, he didn't tell Ann Taylor she had to stop it. Isn't that interesting? The judge did not tell Ann Taylor to stop the survey. In fact, he just said he was going to push it back a couple of weeks. And in fact, she wanted to, even though the study was all done in Latah County, she wanted to continue it in 2 other counties. I see no reason why that won't continue. Now, that wasn't enough for Tommy's bright viewers. Their next question was, what about that 911 call? Why has that not been released? I have my own theories. First of all, it wasn't Bethany, it wasn't Dylan. They used their phone, but who knows for sure? People say that they think it was Ethan's brother. Ethan's brother might have made the call. And it's also said that multiple people talked to the 911 dispatcher, and we don't know what they said. And I don't know. I think that's really suspicious, because back when I was a reporter, you'd go to the arraignment and they would give you the police report. And oftentimes they would also let you listen into the 911 call. So for this crime to now be going on a year and a half now, and we still don't have the 911 call, Lila, that's a good question that I don't have the answer for. I wish I did. Then Tommy and his viewers turned to the fact that, the evidence in this case seems to be withheld. There have been so many requests for discovery. And at this point, as of the time we're doing this episode, there have been 4 motions to compel by Brian Kohberger's attorney that Tommy and his viewers wanted to know my thoughts on why it is that the prosecution just seems to not be forthcoming and why they're holding on to the evidence.
Andrew, in normal cases, wouldn't the prosecution be sanctioned by now? And that to me is a really good question. I want to know the answer to that too.
I think that's a really good point. For not. In my opinion, I think that there should have been deadlines when the prosecutor was saying, well, I don't have any control over this because there's all these different agencies. There's, this agency. In my view, and I've had judges be very rigorous with imposing deadlines. In my view, the court should have said, here's a deadline, April 1st or May 20th or whatever it is. If you don't get this to me by then, there's going to be sanctions. It's as simple as that. So,
what happens? What happens if they don't give them the evidence?
Well, they should be sanctioned. Which would include, fines, fees,
Right.
the inability to bring up this is what the New Hampshire Supreme Court did on the case I was talking about before, the Verrill case. If they can't produce the evidence in advance, they should be disallowed from bringing the evidence at all at trial. Good questions, those, and only 5 of the 10 questions that I isolated out of the great episode that Tommy did, and it's on his channel, and I want to thank him for letting me use these 5 in a future episode here on my channel. We'll look at the other 5, and they're really interesting questions. His viewers kind of played Let's Stump Attorney Myers. So stay tuned. We'll do a future episode on that, and hopefully Lainey will be with us. So please like and subscribe. And as I always say, please be kind. Please be patient. Please respect the person next to you in the grocery store and the gas station. And also, please respect us in our comments. We love comments. Please like and subscribe and comment. But our only rules are, please, let's not, talk about other people and say bad things about other people, because we can't verify that. And the other thing is, just be kind. All right. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and I hope you have a great day. You have been watching About the Law, a production of the law offices of Andrew D. Myers in Methuen in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts, and in Derry, just outside of Manchester, New Hampshire. Remember to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with your friends and others. If you'd like to talk to me about an injury case, a car accident, a slip and fall, a serious bodily injury case, or some other case, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk to you. You can contact us through my website at attorney-myers.com. We have a contact us block, or you can call on one of the telephone numbers we've given there, or you can email me at andrew@attorney-myers.com. The foregoing is offered for informational purposes only. It is not intended as and does not constitute legal advice. Laws vary widely from state to state. You should rely only on the advice given to you during a personal consultation by a local attorney thoroughly familiar with state laws and the area of practice in which your concern lies. This podcast must be and hereby is labeled advertisement in some jurisdictions.